I'm Triple J, and welcome to Brain Food, where I tell you what's yummy and nutritious for your head. And boy oh boy, do I have way too many books. Now, be it Kindle, graphic novel, or even hardcover, I love books. If it's got a good story, good writing to go with it, I am sold, I am there, I will buy it, and I will eventually get around to reading it. Which is part of the problem, because I have so many good books that I want to read, and there's not enough time in the day, because, well, there's life. You know, I have a job to go to, a full-time job where I work in an industrial setting, lots of burny chemical stuff, very bad, and then, you know, I also have other things to do, at home, such as Fallout 4. So what I wanted to do for this episode was to give you a short recommendation of the books that I have yet to read, but that have been recommended to me that I feel you should be checking out, because these are some really good books with some really good ideas behind them that I feel are just going to be absolutely fantastic. This first bundle that I have is what I call my Dragon Con collection. I was really happy and really quite fortunate to have gone down to Dragon Con 2015 this year, where I got to see a lot of amazing cosplayers, meet some really cool people. I even managed to meet Beatdown Boogie, who are some really good, oh man, just cosplay music video makers and just wonderful content creators on YouTube. As such, though, because I flew down with just, well, one suitcase, and because once you reach a certain weight limit, they start really charging you on the airlines, I really had to be careful with what I spent my money on. There was so much good stuff there that I wanted to just dive into. I wish I just drove down, but who knows how much the cost of gas that would have been. So when I bought my books, I wanted to make sure that I got something really good. First off is Princeless, written by Whitley, Higgins, and Brandt. Princeless is basically the story of a young princess who's stuffed in a castle with a dragon to guard her. It's become kind of a new trend within the lands that's what every kingdom does. So that way the princess gets a worthy prince to save her. And you'll marry into the kingdom and, you know, sire a child, all that usual patriarchal BS. This princess, well, she decides she doesn't like that. So she gets her dragon, who's actually quite friendly, finds her brother's sword, and goes off to kick ass, take names, and save her 7 other sisters. Along the way, she comes across the Black Arrow, which is this character right here, who is a pirate princess. And this story is all about how she helps the Black Arrow here overcome adversity in order to start her on her way to reclaiming her throne as basically Queen of the Pirates. What's really cool is that this is actually now a series all on its own, and I highly recommend you check it out on Comixology. The next one is Gamer Girl by, I hope I get your name right, Mary Mancusi. And the tagline is, what do you do when your ho-hum real life doesn't live up to amazing virtual reality? Basically, it's about how a student gets involved in a brand new MMO and all the drama that comes from it with interacting with it as well as high school. What I really did like is that, you know, for here we have the protagonist is a girl. And having thumbed through it just a little bit, well, it looks really interesting, and, you know, it's definitely different than having, you know, another story where it's just another guy in the lead, etc., etc. I have barely even scratched the cover of this one, but I think this is definitely worth a look. Who knows, I might even get to a review of this later on. The next one is Genius, Volume 1, Siege, by Mark, again, apologize if I get the names wrong here, Mark Bernardin, Adam Freeman, with art by Afra Richardson, who is a fantastic artist. This is an intense, no-holds-barred look at basically police brutality on black people, and how one neighborhood in particular and one person leads the fight back against them on multiple fronts. I thumbed through it. It's got amazing art, wonderful writing, and it's just, in light of the current climate that we have, where we see just about every day new footage of cops, particularly white cops, beating up black people, be it men, women, children in the United States. This feels like a story that really has to be told. It's complex, dynamic, and one part in particular that I always thought was interesting was when a couple SWAT officers managed to get into this neighborhood that is on lockdown by the lead character, and and they think they're the good guys. Everyone basically turns against them. So definitely really good. Next up, we have Felicia Day's autobiography, with foreword by Joss Whedon. You're never weird on the internets. I wasn't able to meet her, and the bookstore in the vending hall that was selling it actually had an autograph copy, a couple of autograph copies left, so I was able to buy this. It should make for a really good. I do like Felicia Day. I think she's a wonderful actress. She's very creative, goofy, geeky, weird, a complete dork. And from what I'm told from a friend who did read this book, there actually is a chapter in it in which she deals with, internet harassment. In fact, there was a famous post that she made on Tumblr talking about her fears of just interacting with guys about video games and talking about the harassment, which led to harassment. And I'm not sure if it was Gamergate who doxed her, but people doxed her. Way to prove her point, you fuckheads. Next up, we have a pair of young adult novels, which is Lois Lane, Fallout by Gwenda Bond, and Black Widow, Forever Red by Margaret Stohl. This is actually capitalizing on the new Marvel movie universe, which I thought was really cool. And frankly, I think they should have done this earlier before. I mean, heck, back in 2012, Black Widow really exploded in popularity. So after the first Avengers movie, which is what in this book is based, we should have had books like this out. And from what I hear, there are going to be other books coming out for other characters, such as Iron Man, Black Widow, again by Margaret Stohl, is getting another book coming out. So I was really happy to hear about this. I just wish this had come out after the first Avengers movie instead of Avengers Age of Ultron. And then we have this, Lois Lane, Fallout. I'm really glad to see this premise finally carried out. But what is a little bit frustrating about this book is that it took so long for me to hear about it. I did not hear about this book until I saw an article on the Mary Sue about the second book in this series. The other thing that I find equally frustrating is that there's an artist named Dean Tripp who runs an art blog where he invites other artists in to come up with different redesigns for various superhero comics. It's mostly geared towards finding better fashion choices for a lot of female superhero characters. And one day, Dean Tripp came up with the idea of basically Lois Lane, Girl Reporter. It was a play on the very old Lois Lane comic book series of the same name. Except that one had Lois Lane as a grown woman in just about, I think, every issue, coming up with some new dastardly scheme to marry Superman or something like that. Dean Tripp's idea was basically have Lois Lane, Girl Reporter, because she is in her teens, or just, starting to become a teen, traveling around the world because she's a military brat, and so she goes where her father, a General Lane, goes. And just, discovering mysteries, learning to become a reporter, even crossing paths with a young Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. This one is, well, here we go. Here, I'll read the summary on the back end. She's an army brat who's moved more times than she can count with her father, General Sam Lane. But now they're in Metropolis for good, and Lois is determined to fly straight, stay quiet, fit in, maybe make a friend. As soon as she walks into her new high school, though, she can see it won't be that easy. A group known as the Warheads is making life miserable for another girl at school. They're messing with her mind somehow by the high-tech immersion video game they all play. Not cool. Armed with her wit and her new snazzy job as a reporter, Lois has her sights set on solving the mystery. But even she needs help sometimes. Thank goodness for her maybe more than a friend, a guy she knows only by his screen name, Smallville Guy. Very nice. I like that. You know, it's kind of like a retelling in the modern age. And I think this is going to be really good. I've heard and seen plenty of other reviews, especially on the Mary Sue, that talked about how good this book was while promoting the second one. Again, I just wish I had heard of this sooner. Also, DC Comics, why the hell didn't you do something like this sooner? Why is something like this coming out so late? The explosion of young adult literature has been huge for the past few years, and you're only just now capitalizing on it? Gods. Superhero comics. I love them, but I swear to God, the decision-making behind the scenes that goes into them, it can be very hair-pulling frustrating. From the Annals of Amazon... Yes, I had to make sure I pronounced that correctly, because it came out sounding like another word entirely. I got Aphrodite, does this stand for 10 or 9? No, wait, 9, I think, or 11. 9 or 11. We have Aphrodite, Volume 1, Rebirth. And it looks like a very interesting story. It's written by Matt Hawkins, with artwork by Steven Sajak. And truth be told, I bought it because it came up in recommendations after I bought another of Steven Sajak's comic book series. And quite frankly, the guy is a bloody machine. He's got like 3 series on the go. He did guest work over on Rat Queens for a while. He does covers. He does a ton of stuff on his DeviantArt for free. And he just keeps going. I don't know where he gets the energy from. I think he's part robot. So, again, I just cracked this book open. It looks really good. I really like the artwork. And I think it has an interesting story, which is about basically, it's the future. Earth has been scorched, and there's 2 factions fighting for control. So, we get to see what comes of this. Next up, we have... George by Alex Gino, which is, this recommendation actually came across from Tumblr. Let's see here. Let's read what it says here. When people look at George, they think they see a boy, but she knows she's not a boy. She knows she's a girl. George thinks she'll have to keep this a secret forever. Then her teacher announces that their class play is going to be Charlotte's Web. George really, really, really wants to play Charlotte, but the teacher says she can't even try out for the part because she's a boy. For the help of her best friend Kelly, George comes up with a plan. Not just so she can become Charlotte, but so everyone can know who she is once and for all. It's basically, from what I've heard, and again, another book I've yet to really dig myself into, is basically a kind of coming-of-age story about a transgender girl who figures out how to be a girl. Well, if not figures out to be, but struggles to be who she wants to be, I should say. I've heard lots of good stuff about this book, and we definitely need more books like this, more representation for, everyone to read. This one here I picked up at Costco because, quite frankly, I'm a fan of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and Other Stories. This is the complete works, and even though I've already got, like 2 soft novels, or soft covers I think they're called, of that, as well as a copy of the book on my iPhone, I had to get this one. It's a nice hardcover, it's got like these bronze pages. Hey everyone, look, I'm J.J. Abrams. Ooh. Sorry, cheap joke. But I definitely had to get this book. I love Sherlock Holmes. I love the intelligence that goes into figuring out the crimes, and how he does it and how it all makes sense. What was also really interesting is that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle himself also used the methods of his famous detective character to solve 2 or 3 times and set innocent people free. That's really goddamn cool. I like that. I have some more Amazon orders here. The first off is Black Female Sexuality, edited by, I apologize if I get the names wrong, Chimiko Melancon and Joanne M. Braxton, with a foreword by Melissa Harris Perry. It's basically a number of short essays collected in this book that talks about black female sexuality, how it's portrayed in the media, what people expect of it. I even think there's an essay or two on here on how traits of it are taken from black women by white women, but they don't want to deal with anything else that comes with it. This was recommended to me by a couple friends online, and it's, again, definitely something that's really worth reading, and I can't wait to dig into. As well as Contesting Intersex, The Dubious Diagnosis by Georgian Davis. Again, this was a rather good Tumblr suggestion. Yes, you can get good suggestions from Tumblr, trust me, because I know nothing about intersex, and the best way to fight ignorance of any kind is through education. So I'm looking forward to being educated by this book, to finding out what intersex is all about. Because even as the author says in her sorry, I'm probably using the wrong pronouns, as the author said in their acknowledgement that it was no later than just 10 years ago that they were ashamed of their intersex trait, and they came to find out more about it and accept it and love it as a part of themselves. So definitely looking forward to this. Okay, at some point I really am going to have to start a separate brain food series for all the Kickstarter book projects that I funded over the years. I've already talked about Joe Trent, Super Science, of which I've already funded and will soon get volume 2 of that wonderful book. And now I have a couple others here. The first is Ladies of Literature, volumes 1 and volumes 2. Because I donated at a high enough level, I was actually able to get a reprint of volume 1 along with my copy of volume 2. Now what these are basically, this is done by Ariel and Janet. Oh boy, did I get it here right. This is why pre-reading before recording is always an important thing. But basically what these graphic novels are they are collections of portraits and profiles of women that have inspired various artists onto literature or the love of art in one way or another. So what you have when you go through these books, you see these portraits, and then at the end there's a list containing just who these people are, as well as who drew them, and their art accounts. For example, on page 56, let's take a look here. This is because this is distinctly Canadian, and I remember watching this show a lot of times. Page 56, we have Anne of Green Gables. And let's see here, go back to the page. Oh dear. Let's see here. Yep. Which was drawn by Lauren DeGraff, who has a wonderful Tumblr.com, and here's what she has to say about what this character meant to her. Anne was one of my biggest inspirations as a kid. She was everything I wanted to be. I still see things in myself that I attribute to trying to be more like her. I have great memories of visiting PEI and seeing the Anne of Green Gables theme park. Holy shit, there's a theme park! I've got to go to PEI. When I was a kid growing up in Newfoundland, I watched Anne of Green Gables every time it came on TV. I loved it. And another example here is this awesome black female rendition of Medusa on page 35. So let's take a look what it says, what they have to say about that. Page 35. by, oh boy, I really am sorry if I get these names wrong, Vivian Nung, Medusa from classic Greek mythology. The great thing about myths this old is that there's more liberty in retelling and reinterpreting. I thought about Medusa's ability to turn people to stone, not as people being repulsed by ugliness, but as her gaze holding power, and I kind of like that. So as you can see, you see these various figures from throughout history that give these artists, empowerment, inspiration, the desire to go out and do something and even be wonderful artists. And this is a really good book. I'm really glad I found out about this through, I think it was Tumblr, my Tumblr account, and backed this up and got not only this, but the first volume as well. Following up on that Kickstarter is this Kickstarter, Beyond the Queer, Sci-Fi and Fantasy Comic Anthology, edited by God damn it, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name, Svi R. Monster, which is basically exactly what it is, a collection of short graphic novel stories about queer people, whether lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, in various sci-fi and fantasy series. Because even to this day, sci-fi and fantasy remains one of the widest things out there, especially in movies. After all, let me ask you, how many black people did you see in The Hobbit? Yeah, that many. And again, there's a lot of different variations of artwork, which I truly love. You have not just white characters, but you have black, brown, Asian characters. You have stories that talk about native mythology and heritage. You have stuff about robots, about pirates, about exploring space, even a couple urban fantasy type stories. There's all kinds of really good stories in this book. Again, which I flicked through, but I've yet to get through because I have way too many books. So hopefully, if you can, maybe you'll be able to pick this up too. We can never have enough diversity, especially in sci-fi and fantasy. Next up, this was actually a recommendation by my friend on Twitter, Stephanie Chan, who is, I believe, friends with this one. Joey, oh God, I'm going to mess up this name again. Joey Spiotto, which it basically looks like a children's book about the alien xenomorph, which it is. Alien next door. In space, no one can hear you clean. Talking about the day-to-day life of the xenomorph as it feeds its cat, makes friends with Ripley, and does its best to try to keep the Nostromo and other places clean. What's really interesting is that, Joey Spiotto actually knew H.R. Geiger. And H.R. Geiger, here, let me read the introduction. Several years ago, I was contacted via telephone by a private investigator. She was a friend of H.R. Geiger's, and he had asked her to track me down because he had seen my alien-inspired print where I had created a fake children's book called Face Hugs for Everyone. That is really disturbing. It turned out that the artist, whose work is known to be cold, dark, phallic, and very adult, had a softer side. You see, Mr. Geiger wanted to get in touch with me to talk about collaborating on an alien-inspired children's book. I was told he would be in touch. Unfortunately, time passed on, the world lost a legendary artist, and the book never materialized. When I was approached to create the book you hold in your hands, it felt like a dream fulfilled. Although I've never heard from someone I would have very much loved to have talked with, I like to think that this book would have brought some light into his mostly dark world. Mostly. I'm not kidding. It actually says that. Mostly. Seriously, it's a goofball. And it's just a really cute, adorable art, which is really clashes with the idea of the xenomorph, because no matter what movie it's in, good or bad, and there have been more bad than good, this thing is creepy as hell. And yet we got stuff like, it's playing basketball with Ripley. It's It's watching movies with the face hugger, Attack on Earth. It's taking a shower. It's, oh man, there was one really good one here. Where was it? Oh man, here we go. There should be around here somewhere. Again, really wish I had the page bookmarked. It's playing, oh man. It's playing Jump Rope with the girl from Aliens, the little girl that Ripley and the Marines find. Again, it's really creepy in some ways, but actually quite adorable. So again, I got this one from Amazon, and you should get it too. Fun, enjoyable, a nice quick read, just really hilarious. I gotta love it. And because it was Halloween not too long ago, for Brain Food at the Movies, I recommend A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, a film by Anna Lily Amirpour. Apologies if I got your name wrong. And this is basically an Iranian vampire film. And even the trailer was fucking scary. Basically, I think I haven't even cracked the plastic on this yet. But just from the trailer, I honestly think this movie does a lot to undo the damage that the Twilight movies have done. To haha, old joke, bad horse dead from punching, kicking. At any rate, this looks like a really good film. I got this, special edition Blu-ray and DVD from Amazon, and I honestly can't wait to see, what someone, born and raised in Iran will bring to the cult, to the genre of monster movies and vampires in particular. Like I said, that trailer was pretty goddamn scary. This vampire doesn't mess around. There's people to bite and blood to suck, and what I've seen, she goes to town. Oh wow! So that's been the list of books that are in my queue, and that's not even taking into account what's on my iPhone in Kindle, or the amount of really good fan fiction that I've read. 2 recommendations I would like to give here. You can find both of them on Archive of Our Own, and that is Sci-Fi Girl 47, who writes just a really wonderful Avengers series based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And really great writing, the snappy comebacks, everything. It's just really good, wonderful, heartfelt moments. And she teams up Hawkeye, pairs up Hawkeye with Phil Coulson, which I never really thought of myself, but it works. It's really good. The other recommendation for fanfic reading I recommend is called The Hakoon. And I will write this here, The Hakoon, who's also on Archive on her own, and writes mainly Life is Strange fan fiction. Heck, she did a lot to really get me through the ending of that garbage ending from the game, which she wrote this wonderful fanfic about how things really should have happened, instead of that, hey, the storm destroyed the town. Should we check on our friends and family? Nah, let's get out of here. Or, and completely ignores the other garbage ending, which had lesbian death tropes in it. God damn it, Don't Nod. Really, we're going somewhere with this series. You screwed it up. Bad Don't Nod. Trust me, I don't even think I'm going to be buying the 2nd season if it comes out. I'm going to wait till someone else plays through it so that I don't get burned again. But at any rate, check out those 2 fanfic writers. Wonderful, talented people, lots of cute stories. You're going to love them. Oh boy, and there's so much more out there. I've got so many more books coming in, other Kickstarters I funded, other fanfic authors I read while at work. I mean, there's a few more books and novels on my bookshelf there that I've yet to get to, not to mention all the old classics. Like I'm looking right now at Terry Pratchett's The Truth. Oh, God damn it, Terry Pratchett. Why do we lose all the good ones? And, yeah, just so much good stuff out there. Sometimes you have to look real hard, and sometimes you have to be worried about the recommendations you get from people online on Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook or whatever your social media is, but it's worth it. And I can't wait to dig into these other stories. And I hope that you take the time and check them out as well. I'm Triple J. That's all I got left to say. Take care.